What's up guys? In today's video I want to talk to you about how you can edit your videos to music, as well as a couple of critical things you guys can keep in mind when you are picking the music that you want to pair with that video footage. We are also going to be covering a little bit on sound effects. We're going to do a whole walkthrough in Premiere Pro, and towards the end of the video I'm going to show you what we actually managed to create using these tips and techniques. Today's video is sponsored by Artlist. Artlist is an amazing online music and sound effects licensing platform that has some incredible tracks. A couple of things I love about Artlist is that they offer an annual subscription for only $199, which when you work it out to be monthly, it's super affordable. One of the best things about them, and something that separates them from other licensing platforms, is that you get unlimited downloads once you sign up for that subscription, and even more so than that, once you guys download those tracks, they are yours to keep forever and you can use them on any projects that you guys want. So you get to keep those tracks forever, even once you cancel your subscription, which is pretty amazing. Other than that, they have some awesome music on their platform, and we're of course going to be using them to demonstrate this video, and I'm going to be showing you guys how I pick some awesome music on Artlist. If you guys are looking to find tracks that you can use in your projects without having to worry about any of the licensing issues, check them out down in my description. Otherwise, head over to artlist.io. So once we hop over into Premiere, you can see that I have three separate little video sections here. So we have one here that's like standing, walking out onto these rocks. It's like kind of epic, so I'm gonna want some cool music that's a bit epic for there. The next one is like a travel style video with a mix of a few different style of shots. And the last one is a more like relaxing, dreamy little scene of Hannah in these grass fields that we filmed for a vlog a little while ago. These are our three main different little scenarios here. And the reason we have these three different ones is because I want to speak to you guys a little bit on how important it is to match the correct mood to the type of footage that you're going to be pairing it with. Having different moods on your footage can completely change how the viewer perceives that footage, the feeling they get from it, and the story that you're trying to tell in that little scene. So something that we're going to do here is we're going to pick three different types of songs to pair with these three different scenes, and we're gonna do that by hopping over onto Artlist. Once we are over in Artlist here, we can start selecting the tracks that we feel are gonna fit best with the little video scenes that we have on our timeline. It's super important that you guys pick stuff that is gonna make that really come to life and is gonna further portray the message that you're trying to tell to your viewer with that little video scene. Audio is arguably as important as the visuals that you guys are gonna be pairing it with, so make sure to spend a little bit of time here and make sure you guys are picking something that is gonna really bring that footage to life. You can see once we're over in Artlist here, you have a selection of different tracks to choose from, and one of my favorite features is that you can head over here to mood and you can pick the different moods that you guys are looking for. So for example, if you film something really epic, maybe it's like a chase scene or a car chase, something like action like that, you're not going to want to go for something happy or something uplifting. You're going to want to go for something epic or like something really action and high impact and fast to fit with that scene and make it more intense for the viewer. So you can see here, that's super epic. Like this would be sick to pair with like some chase scene through the forest, maybe people are chasing each other or something like that. But at the same time, you wouldn't want to pair something like this with something dreamy and moody. It's just not going to work, and it's going to tell the wrong message. It's going to be disconnected from that footage, and the viewer is going to feel weird about it because it doesn't fit together well. You can see here that if we went to something like uplifting and we tried again, these are like cool vibe music. And we could pair something like this really well with something light, maybe someone like running and playing, it's a bit playful. And there are so many different moods here for you guys to pick through that you really should be able to match one with any style of footage that you guys may have captured. Once we have downloaded the tracks that we like for our footage and I've jumped back into Premiere, I dropped my 3 tracks here to match with our 3 different styles of little B-roll scenes. Now this track is the one that I chose to go with our travel scene, but you can see that it would still work with even this relaxing scene of Hannah here in the field. But I think kind of the feeling for me personally that I get from that track, I feel like it fits way better with this travel style scene. And I'll keep in mind when I'm showing you guys these things, I haven't cut the footage to the track yet. That's what we're gonna get to next. We're just playing it over, we're just matching them, we're pairing them together. Cuts really well together. And you can see the same thing happens with this when we take our slightly more epic track and we drop it onto our scene of running out on the cliff, which is our slightly more epic scene. Try to catch me howling at the moon. Works pretty well. This plays together really nicely in my opinion, but if we threw this on the shots of Hannah here in the field, not so much. It doesn't really work. So it's super important for you guys to pick out the songs that are gonna just push that mood that you're trying to tell. It's gonna immerse the viewer in it so much more, because now all of a sudden your footage and the track you're pairing it with it are working together to elevate it to a whole new level. So we are going to just edit this first one to this little scene here. I want to show you guys a couple of crucial tricks and things that you should know when you guys are cutting to music, and a couple of my favorite little tricks and techniques that I like to do to help me edit to music as best as I possibly can. The first thing that I like to do is I have a rough idea of what this footage is, and I have this nice opening drone shot here. So I know that I'm gonna be opening with this. I know that I want something a little bit smoother and softer. And then as it happens here, there's riding a motorbike, which is a little bit more high energy, and we can put that right on the drop. So I can see in this track that we're pairing with this here is that there's a nice slow intro. And right around here is gonna be a drop. Okay? And something that we can do when we are gonna start cutting our footage to our tracks is that we can place markers on that track so that we know where any crucial things are happening throughout that track, whether that's a crescendo or a build-up, or like we are gonna do in this case, one of those drops. The next thing we can do is listen through this track and place markers on those crucial things. So we can hit M on our keyboard with our track being selected, and that is gonna put those markers on. We can hit play. Keep doing it for any crucial things we feel like that are going to be happening throughout here. Okay, and then as you see there, we can drop these clips right onto these markers and they're going to be perfectly timed with the music. The next thing that I want to do here is we need to just DJ this track a little bit and make it work for our footage. I want to use this section. I can see that it's quite nice, but as you can see it's a little bit longer than the footage we have to use for it, and we're also not going to be using this beginning, and we also need an ending. So we're going to DJ this track, we're going to cut it, splice it, and put it back together to make the length that we want. This is something that you guys can do with almost any track, and once you start to get a feel for it, it is like an invaluable skill that you guys need. You can take that 3-minute track and make it 30 seconds or 15 seconds if you're going to be putting it on Instagram or something like that. So that's what we're going to do here real quick. And the first thing that I'll do is I will listen for parts that sound the same, because I know that this whole middle bit is going to be too long. So let's listen to the drop here. I'm gonna cut my track right there on that next beat. And then I'm gonna find the same part of the track, the same part of the bar where that beat comes in again a little bit further down here, and we can pair them together, cutting out this middle so that it's gonna make that section a little bit shorter. we know that that is going to be the same as this beginning. And our next cut. So what we can do now is that I can hear this part of the track is the same as our first part here. So we can take out this whole middle bit and we can delete it, and I'm just going to drag this piece down here, and these should cut together pretty well now. Okay. So we can drop this track under here and we can move these back, and we can apply a default transition just to give it a little bit of a fade. And now when we play these together, they should sound seamless and no one should know any different. And we will end our track right there because it has a nice drop off that's going to be a nice smooth ending. If, for instance, your track doesn't have a nice smooth ending like that, you can do the same thing that how we cut out this middle bit, but you can take an ending from the end of the track, put it onto here and match them just how we did that one. And that's a way that you can create that ending for yourself. I think that's quite cool. And one other thing that I'm going to try on here is I'm going to put a low pass filter onto the beginning of this, and I'm going to fade it out as it comes in and as our clip comes in from black here. That's a nice way to intro this track and make it that it doesn't just start kind of in the middle of it. So we can head over to effects and we can just look for a low pass filter for this track. We can throw that on there and we can do a quick animation to make it come in nicely like this. If you guys are not sure what I'm doing right now, I'm just using keyframes to animate this low pass filter coming in as the track starts. Pretty cool. I'm happy with that. Now the next thing that we need to do, and something we need to be aware of, is it's easy to cut on the beats. It's easy to cut on every bar every time it does like a new beat, and you can cut the same time every single time on that beat. But the problem with that is that those cuts become predictable to the viewer and they expect them and it becomes boring. So what you want to look out for in your track is little pockets of different speeds of cuts and where those beats are, and to mix them up a little bit to make it more unpredictable for the viewer. So you can see here is, if we listen to this, I could cut it like this. But that's going to be boring. So what we're going to do is mix it up and find those different little pockets. And especially you can experiment with this when you have clips and your video has different energy, like we did with this intro where it has this nice slow build up. You can use your clips that are nice and slow and not have too many cuts. And then when the track drops and it starts to get more energetic, you can introduce more cuts and use your energetic footage and put it all together like that. End our clip right on that cut. Cuts to black. And you can see now when you look at our individual clips here, for the most part, they're all different lengths. And that's what I'm talking about with those different pockets of speed. So this first one is nice and long. It's bringing in the music, and this track is matching that with a nice slow intro. And then it has a few faster cuts here for the middle. And then towards the end, we can slow them down and have this slow last clip as it ends. So I'm happy with this. Really quick, spent about a minute cutting that footage together, no more than a minute, and it looks quite nice. Pretty sick. So we're going to do the same thing for these other two clips, just a little bit less in depth, because I want to show you a few different little techniques and tricks for these. And then we're going to come back and we're going to start getting into some sound effects. And I want to show you guys how to bring this footage to life with those sound effects. So for our more relaxing scene, the one of Hannah in this grass field, I've just been listening to this track over a little bit, deciding which part of it I want to use, deciding which part I think is the best. And I found something here that I think is pretty cool. Pretty sick. So I'm gonna cut that right here, and I'm gonna do this one fast, guys, because there's 3 videos, and if I go through each one of them, this video is gonna end up being way, way too long.
To show it.
So something I've noticed as I'm going through this track is that I actually didn't end up using all of the shots, and I cut them a lot shorter. So now we do not have enough footage to fill this track, and we're gonna have to do another little splice, which is great because I can show you guys how we can do that again. I'm gonna listen for 2 parts that are gonna be the same, and we're gonna cut out some of the middle here. I can hear the part where they say wide open. We can cut it there. We can take away this entire middle section, and now we have a nice little short track like this. Once I've placed all my clips onto the track how I like them, I remember to keep my little pockets of speed and keep them all different, and remember to pair it with that track just perfectly. To move on to our last little video section, and I'm gonna show you guys how I'm gonna cut this together with the more epic style one. Okay, so here's our third and last little video, and I found the part of the track that I like. Again, I listened to it a few times and found a section that I feel will work best with our footage. You can see right here, we have a nice little intro, so I can delete all of this beginning part.
Try to catch me howling at the moon.
Super cool song, lots of energy. It's so good. I haven't even placed these clips on here, and they're already working so well. And you can see as well, we have this nice ending here that fades off naturally, and we don't need to do any splicing for this one. It just works perfectly.
Try to catch me howling at the moon. Try to catch me howling at the moon.
Something I think is really important when you guys are editing to music is the footage almost has like its own energy. Like you can see in this shot right here where Hannah lifts her hands up like that. It almost works like with the same sound effects that are happening in this track. There's like an uplifting sound, like a movement sound. It might seem a little weird what I'm saying, but when you can match your footage with the parts of the tracks like that, it makes it work so well together that it's so connected, it seems like it's just made for each other. So check this little section out here. You can hear it has this like uplifting bit of the track, and then Hannah's lifting her hands up like that, and it cuts together really nicely. Super subtle, but it makes a huge difference when you do that throughout the whole video. So check out what I mean here. And then you can do that for each one of your clips. So good. Love this track as well. Let's take that right out from there. Boom, cut it over there. And then we can drop it on here. Put that little crossfade. Make it nice and small. And now it should sound good. Perfect. Okay, so as I'm editing the end of this one, I'm noticing that the ending just doesn't sound that nice. It's not flowing out really as well as I wanted it to. It kind of just ends, so I'm gonna show you guys a really nice trick to be able to end tracks like this. And we can use reverb to make it kind of like end with a nice echo, and it sounds way, way better. So check this out, this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna cut this little part here, and we're gonna nest this by right-clicking on it and selecting nest. Once we have this nested, we can open our nested sequence. There is gonna be that track. And then what we wanna do is we just wanna make our nested sequence a lot longer. And we can do that by just applying some black video by going here, black video. I'll drop that in there. And now our nested sequence is gonna be long. And the reason we're doing that is because we need to add that reverb onto that last bit of the song, but we don't want the rest of the song to come back in because it actually drops there and goes back into music, and that is not what we want. Now if we head back over here, you can see that our nested sequence can be dragged out like this longer. Then what we want to do is head over to our effects and we just want to select a reverb. We'll take this convolutional reverb and we'll hit edit and we will pick something that's going to work nice for this. Once we have found our settings that we like, we can just apply a little fade here to make them go together smoothly. And you can see that works a lot better than if the track was just to end on that last little sound there. And now we can draw this clip out a little bit and fade this one to black as well. And that, in my opinion, works so much better, and that's a great way that you guys can end tracks almost anywhere that you want. Now that we've done with our edits and we've put them to the music how we want them, they're looking really nice, and I want to show you guys one more thing that's really going to elevate these videos and bring them to life by using sound, and that is going to be the sound effects. Artlist offers a whole sound effects library that you guys can get and add to these clips, and how I like to do my sound effects is just by going to my video, watching over it a few times and taking note of the crucial things that I feel like are gonna have noticeable sound effects. This first shot, we might need some like birds chirping or some sort of foresty sounds. This next one, of course, a motorbike sound effect for all of these motorbike shots. And then here we might want some ocean sound effects, some seagulls. Here we want a bit of a wave as that water is hitting over our feet back to the motorbikes, and that's it. Now that we're back over into Artlist, we can select those crucial sound effects that we were gonna need. We can head over into sound effects and just search for something like forest, and we can start listening through these. That is pretty cool already. No. Calm down the forest. This one sounds good. We'll grab that one. Something else that we wanted was a motorbike. So let's head over to our search bar and we can select motorcycle. And we can just go through these and pick the ones that we think are gonna work. I like that one, so we're gonna select it. We need a couple maybe because we have some like riding scenes. That one is pretty cool, even though it's just idling. Something else that we needed was the beach, like ocean sound effects, so we can just search beach. And there's so many sound effects on Artlist that you can pretty much just find like whatever you guys are looking for. Beach atmosphere, that's gonna be the one. Once we've thrown our sound effects over into Premiere here, I like to just turn the music off by muting it and then start placing those sound effects where we want them to be. Our first one is gonna be some nice forest and like bird, nature sounds. We can place that here. That is sounding pretty cool. And something that I think is super, super important about sound effects is they need to be subtle. It shouldn't be this overpowering thing that is super obvious to the viewer. They can rarely hear those sounds. It just makes everything feel more immersive and more realistic, but it's not like this obvious thing playing like louder than your music or like really loud or anything like that. To go with that, I often turn down the volume of my sound effects just to make them sound nice, and I will listen back to them. That is sounding pretty cool. And another crucial thing is that your sound effects don't just end at the end of that clip. So I like to draw it out a little bit like this and then fade it out gradually, and it makes it smooth and seamless between each one rather than having those hard cuts at the beginning and the end of each clip. It's going to be like jumpy, but we can start this one before we actually get to the motorbike clip. And I'm gonna fade it in as well. And something else I'm gonna do to this is I'm gonna slow it down because our clip is actually slowed down and it's gonna sound better with it slowed down as well. I'm gonna drop our volume down to something like 8 because that's gonna be quite loud, and I'm also gonna put on a low pass filter. And then I'm gonna use this same one again, but I'm gonna set it back to its usual speed. I'm gonna take this low pass filter off, and I'm gonna paste that as I am driving away on the motorbike. You can see it has a bit of an acceleration there. There you go, that looks quite cool and matches how the sound effect should be. We can leave this one on here, and something else that I'm gonna do is take this motorbike sound and just leave it in the background there as well. Sometimes something you need to do is just layer your sound effects. Our next clip is this beach scene. So we are gonna grab our wave sound effects from over here. We're gonna have to start a new audio track so we can have more layers. And we're gonna start our wave clip from before that clip comes in. And we're gonna, again, turn down our volume. And something we're gonna do for this is, because in these shots, the ocean is far away and it shouldn't be loud. So we're gonna head here and we're gonna cut this and we're gonna make it really, really soft. And then as it gets to that next clip, we can make it a little bit louder. So because this one is really close to the ocean, it makes more sense for the water to be louder. Whereas this one, we're really far away. You would barely be hearing the water from where we were. We're still gonna keep it about there. Now that we have all of our sound effects in place, I really think that it just makes this whole little video section so much more immersive for the viewer. They can hear the sounds of what it would be like to be there, and it's not just a track pasted over it with no sound effects in the background. So I'm going to show you guys here quickly just a little demonstration of, even with the track playing, how it sounds with none of the sound effects, and then how much better it sounds with some of those basic sound effects that we added in from our art list. So check this out. No sound effects. Okay. But now check out the same thing with the sound effects and check how different it looks and how much more immersive it feels. Subtle, but a big difference. So the key is to keep it subtle, but it ends up making such a big difference to your video, and you can grab all of those sound effects from Artlist like we mentioned. That is pretty much gonna be it for this video, guys. I'm gonna leave you with how the video turned out, and you guys can have a little look with the music and those sound effects. Remember that if you guys wanna check out Artlist, if you're looking for any music that you're not gonna have any licensing issues with, or if you want those sound effects to really elevate your videos and make them so much more immersive to the viewer, check out artlist.io. They're going to be linked down in the description, and they are truly a platform that I recommend for creators like you and I. That is going to be it for this one, guys. I hope you learned something new, and I will see you in next week's video.